In today's video, we're going over a full console settings guide when it comes to controller settings as well as my movement settings. I did change a bit of my controller settings for the new Rebirth Island map. So if you guys want some settings, it's going to have you guys gliding around the map even for console players. Make sure you guys stick around to the end. And if you guys do learn something new in today's video, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's go straight into my console controller settings. Alright guys, here we are in my controller settings. First thing we're looking at in today's video is your button layout. Now this is kind of personal preference, but if you guys do really want to improve at Warzone, I highly recommend you guys play on something that's not default. I play on default because I play claw, but if you guys don't play claw or if you don't have paddles in your controller, it's best to use something like bumper jumper. I do have flipped on, which just flips your L1, L2 as well as R1 and R2, that way you're shooting and throwing knives and using grenades with different buttons. This gives you a slightly faster reaction time when it comes to aiming down sights and shooting. My stick layout preset is set to default and I have controller vibration set to on. This is very important if you guys do want to get some extra rotational aim assist. Your dead zones also very important when it comes to rotational aim assist. I have these both set to 10 right now because the game basically reset my settings, but I usually run my left stick all the way down at 0 and sometimes the right stick somewhere between 0 to 5. I know a lot of you guys might have stick drift, so you don't have to go all the way down to 0 on the right stick, but the left stick is very important. You want to have this set to 0 because you're going to get a lot of rotational aim assist. If you combine this with your controller vibration, it's just going to be really good. If you guys don't have that set to that already, trust me, you want to try it out. It's definitely worth it. Over to my aiming settings, I have both my horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity set to 8. This is actually what I'm running right now in Rebirth. ADS sensitivity multiplier set to 0.85, and all of these all just default. They're all just set to 1. I haven't done anything in the vertical aim axis area. Tact stance sensitivity multiplier is also remains at default. Now my aim response curve type is set to dynamic, but these other ones actually are pretty interesting. If you guys want to try these out, I do recommend it. Linear is pretty good. I think my favorite are linear and dynamic. Standard's okay, but if I had to choose one, I would choose dynamic. One thing I did not notice before is it's actually an aim response curve slope scale, and I just leave this at default, but this is actually interesting. I might play around with this in the future. The rest of these settings right here are left to default. Target aim assist is on, obviously, and as well as aim assist type is set to default. Make sure you guys have it set to default. Before, Black Ops was the meta, but now default's much stronger. So yeah, default aim assist type for sure. Now for this part, I'm gonna kind of just like scroll through this part because I do mention these quite a bit and I haven't actually changed anything in this area since my last video for settings. So everything over here is just what you see. I haven't changed anything. It's been like this for the last like 4 months. But I do recommend you guys go through and change your settings if you guys are trying to have better movement when it comes to things like the slide and dive behavior, as well as mantling onto objects. Trust me, you want to make sure your mantling settings are right, or else you're going to be mantling over bookshelves or boxes while you're trying to fight, which is definitely not good. And of course, automatic tac sprint, you have to make sure that's on if you're trying to be a movement demon. If you don't have this on, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. And make sure you guys have tap to interact on your interact/reload behavior. This is very important to making sure you can open chests and pick up weapons as well as open doors automatically as soon as you press the button instead of having to hold it down. It's much better when it comes to looting because a lot of times if you have to hold down square or X, it's going to basically give you a disadvantage when it comes to picking up weapons right off the rip, and someone else is probably going to pick up a gun and kill you first. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure you guys have tap to interact on, and make sure you guys have apply all for your armor plate behavior. The rest of these settings I leave at default as well, and that's just about it. So those are all the controller settings and movement settings I'm using right now in the Season 3 update. Comment down below what you guys think about Rebirth Island right now, if you guys are loving it or if you guys don't like it so much. If you guys are wondering how my game does look so colorful, make sure you guys check out my last video. I made a graphic settings guide for console players, going through everything you guys can do in the game to make your game look much better. But that being said, I have a little bit of a gameplay for you guys using the M4 and the MP5, some of the OG loadouts from back in Warzone 1. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, love, and understanding always.